I want to start with the way that you guys start the book, which is the 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 dangerous words social justice. And you point out that Hayek had a problem with this because for Hayek justice was for individuals, and social corrupted that because it became hard to understand what that meant. And I think we're still struggling with that today, but to rehabilitate that phrase and try to understand people that use that phrase is something that you guys are trying to do.
Yeah, so the term social justice, Hayek is assuming that people mean something like perfect material equality in outcomes.
Yeah.
And of course, he is totally right to condemn that, because you cannot have that without tyranny. And you see that clearly in David Hume's work as well. And so we think that's true, but we also think that in many cases, there's a way of thinking about social justice that actually makes a lot of sense from Hayek's perspective. Because what is he doing in the Constitution of Liberty? He's explaining the institutions that you have to have in order to experience freedom and economic flourishing. So if you're excluded from those legal institutions, you won't experience that, right? And so you will be a victim of basic, real individual crimes from your neighbors, from the police, from the court system, whatever it is. And so it will be just injustice, just plain injustice. You don't necessarily need the term social, but I think people now use the term social justice to refer to things that were bad happened in the past, and we want to do right by that.
Yeah.
And it's often much more vague in their minds. And so if we can bring forward the classical liberal tradition of actually paying a lot of attention to the way that the growth of freedom affects regular people, and it goes all the way back, Adam Smith, et cetera, they're all talking about poor people getting richer, then we can show, oh, actually, we have a social justice tradition in classical liberalism.
Yeah, and part of the mistake I think we make is when we understand the sort of bad version of social justice, which is using force to redistribute wealth and to bring everybody down to some equal level. We give up the word justice too, which is the entire basis of what I think liberty is about. It's about those institutions that provide for equal treatment under law and all that stuff that I guess is controversial now, but I thought it was a thing.
So we don't use the term social justice ourselves, but we try to show some understanding to just regular Americans who do.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to redeem the term injustice, right? These were just real injustices.
Yeah.
And we need to acknowledge them and understand that America has a kind of racial hangover from some of these terrible parts of our history.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, not just America. Like I'll sound like Dinesh D'Souza for a second, but the world of 200 years ago was pretty repugnant by many of the standards that we would hold ourselves to today.
Yeah.
And that's where some of the history comes in. I think it's good to point out some of the crazy stuff that people did and believed, not just in our own history, but where those things came from.